Lions Rock Productions.
This is Jay Moore.
This is Greg Crave.
This is Bryce Vine.
This is Dexter from The Offspring.
This is Nathan
This
East.
is Sebastian Younger.
This is Daryl.
This is Stuart Copeland.
This is Mick Gillette.
This is Andy Summit.
This is Dr. Bob Greenberg.
This is Gabby Reese.
This is Rob Bell.
Hey, this is John Leon Guerrero.
Hey, and this is Pete A. Turner.
Hey, so this is Stewart Rogers. I'm analyst at large at VentureBeat, which is one of the big tech news publications, where you can find us on venturebeat.com, obviously, because obvious internet domain names are the thing that you need in 2018. I'm here on the Break It Down show. It's awesome to be here. Thank you so much.
And now, the Break It Down show with John Leon Guerrero and Pete A. Turner.
Yeah, actually, we're sitting here in Hollywood on Sunset, and we are at the Butcher, the Baker, and the Cappuccino Maker. Your suggestion, and it's a great place. We already had the breakfast bowl, and it's delicious.
Yeah, I always have a time where I make a little pilgrimage to this place every time I come to Los Angeles. You know, West Hollywood is kind of my jam, although I do like to go out to Santa Monica and Venice to see my friends. I've got friends all over in different parts of LA, but for some reason West Hollywood is my spot.
When I talk, so, you know, I'm from Northern California, but I've lived all over the place. But when I'm in LA, I do the thing. So I'll say, I'm going to take the 5 to the 101.
Right.
Do you translate into that the thing, or do you just talk regular?
I speak fluent American.
Okay.
We're calling it American, not American English.
Yeah.
Just out of deference for my home country, where we speak British. Yeah, no, I speak fluent American. I do the whole the thing. Yeah.
Do Scots speak British English, or do they speak Scottish English?
Nobody understands Scottish people. they speak something completely different to everybody.
Yeah. Who's hardest to understand in that part of the world? Is it the Welsh? Is it the Irish?
You know, actually, we have so many different dialects and so many different accents all across the United Kingdom. This is something that actually confuses British people. So when they go to Germany, at school, they've learnt perfect high school German, or Hochdeutsch, as we call it. And they go to Germany, and they expect everybody in Germany to speak Hochdeutsch. And, you know, there's a problem with that.
Yeah.
Because, of course, Germany is 12 times the size of England. And in England, we have towns where people speak entirely differently to anywhere else in the country.
Yes.
Like a town.
Right.
Like Newcastle, Geordies, which is the name of the people who come from Newcastle. Geordies are possibly the most difficult people to understand in the entire country. And they only speak like that in that one little area, in that one little city. Nobody else speaks like that in the whole country.
Yeah.
And yet we go to places like Germany and France and all these other big countries, and we expect everyone to speak the same version of German or French or Italian or Spanish or Portuguese or whatever. And it's wildly different. There's actually towns in Bavaria that are 5 miles apart from each other that cannot understand each other. And the reason they can't understand each other is because they've never met, because there's a mountain between them, and it would be a 2,000-mile journey just to get around to see the other town. Not 2,000 miles. I'm using hyperbole.
Right.
But you get the point.
I get the point. Well, so my girlfriend's dad is from England, and somewhere on the shore on the west side, he talks about how, like, anybody who lives within earshot of the chapel, of the abbey or whatever, that makes you part of that area, and you speak that particular language. So, and there's different kinds. I mean, can anybody have a posh accent or a plummy accent, or is that like a personal proclivity, or is it really just regionally done?
You know, accents are a really interesting thing. I have this little party trick where I try and work out which city somebody is from rather than which country they're from.
Yes.
And I get it right a lot, but there are times when I can't possibly get it right. And those times are when somebody has moved around the world a lot before the age of 7. Sometimes it's a little bit earlier for girls than for boys.
Right.
Sometimes it takes boys a little bit longer to have this bed in. But generally around about the age of 7, that's when your accent is set. And that's based on the environment around you. So if everyone around you is talking posh, then you're going to end up talking posh. But if you moved around a lot before the age of 7, you get this chameleonic accent that is neither one thing nor the other, and it becomes very, very difficult then to work out which city anyone was actually from originally.
Yeah, I'm pretty good at accents too. Actually, the show we're going to put up for Popping the Bubble today has got a lady from Brazil, and I've been working on my Brazilian accents, and she's like, all right, so guess. And I'm like, it sounds like Sao Paulo to me. She's like, that was really good.
Yeah.
But being able to do that, I don't know, what do you think gives us that ability? Because necessarily think it through. I just get a feel for it more than anything else.
Well, for me, it's a bit of a party trick. So I'm not just using the accent. I have been paying attention to accents all over the world, and you get attuned to them. But it's not just the accent; it's also demographics. So, simple fact is that if you're meeting me in any kind of the environments where you would normally meet me, like a conference, for example, or in any one of these beautiful cities that I go to, you probably came from just a small number of towns in your country. Like if you're from India, you're probably from Mumbai or Delhi or Bangalore or Pune or something like that. If you're from South Africa, you're probably from Durban or Johannesburg or Cape Town, or some one of those big cities where you've got the opportunity to get the education, make the money to leave and go and work in these other places where you'll meet me. So it's not just the accent itself; it's using a little bit of gamesmanship with some demographics.
And everybody pretty much gives you a pass. Like if you said, maybe London, Clapham, London, same thing, good enough, even though they're totally different accents and everything.
Yeah.
Hollywood's awesome. So, we're here in Hollywood talking with Stewart, and he's been on the Popping the Bubble show. You guys should definitely check out his YouTube channel. There's a lot of good things there.
No, there's terrible things on my YouTube channel. I really need to, overhaul my YouTube channel.
Well, there you go.
Let's not send people there.
Okay. Where do you want to send them?
You're much better off following me on Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, or Instagram. Snapchat, I know everybody's down on Snapchat, and, they're only down the road. They're like 20 minutes down the road in Venice. They've taken over huge swathes of Venice, much to the chagrin of the locals. But, I still prefer it for content creation. As a content creation platform, those little 10-second slices of my day, and then augmenting them with face filters and geographic filters and adding text and graphics and everything, it just is super, super fast on Snapchat. And then what I do is I cross-post it to Instagram stories, and then I have a setting on in Instagram stories which cross-posts it to Facebook stories, and then everybody that follows me can see what the heck I'm up to every day. And, I like doing that. I like producing that content.
Yeah, it's that so you are all over the place. In this recent stretch, Moscow, you just came from Moscow most recently, right?
Right.
And then you're here in LA, you'll be up in the Bay next, but you were constantly all over the place, and you've got your finger on the pulse of things. And I want to ask a bigger question, because you get to get out of the cat box and you go all over the place. So,
right. And that's by design, by the way.
Oh, for sure. I mean,
right.
You don't have many. We talked about how you don't have many possessions because you're on the road. You have this kind of a life.
That's it. I have no home. I have basically a suitcase and a backpack. That's what I've got. That's my entire life.
And I want to ask you about that part too. But let me back up and ask you the bigger question. We often get bogged down in the here and the now, right now. And for a lot of people right now in the U.S., it sucks. We got Donald Trump, and there's bigotry and misogyny and racism everywhere. But really, there's also a lot of good things that happen here. And then when you get out of here and you go and you see like, oh, shit, you can't get a good taco 200 miles outside of L.A. or San Francisco. No, that's kind of a small thing. But there are a lot of differences when you go to, say, Joburg.
Yeah.
You're like, wow, this is not the U.S. or this is not the U.K. How are we doing in terms of the world, like in the big picture thing? Yeah, Donald Trump got that part, but like in general, how is the U.S. in terms of day-to-day living compared to what you see everywhere else?
I was always taught that America was the land of opportunity, and anything could happen here. If you came to America, you could make your fortune if you were hardworking and just got down to it. And, to an extent, that's still true. Mm-hmm. If you have a startup, there is no doubt about it that you will be afforded all sorts of extra opportunities if you're in the Silicon Valley area, just simply because that's where everybody is. And face-to-face emotional connection still trumps every other kind of communication mechanism. So actually being there in Silicon Valley, there are benefits to that. Mm-hmm. But then San Francisco, I think, is currently the number one or possibly number two, depending on whether you believe this set of graphics or that set of data. It's either number one or number two in terms of cost of living in the world. My CEO at VentureBeat, for the first couple of years of me working there, kept on saying to me, "Hey, when are you moving to San Francisco? When are you moving to San Francisco?" And then we had like an off-site. And the off-site was at the editor-in-chief's house. 3 bedrooms.
Yes.
No garden to speak of. A balcony.
Yeah.
It was, I think, Russian Hill area. And at that time, I still had a house. I had a 3-bedroom semi-detached house with a huge garden and 2 outbuildings. So I took the opportunity when the editor-in-chief and the CEO were talking to each other to go up and say, hey, so hope you don't mind me asking, but just, how much does this place cost? And I think at the time it was something along the lines of around about like a $5,000 or $6,000 rent.
Wow.
And that's when I took my opportunity to say to the CEO, so, just so you know, I'm currently paying the equivalent of $800 for my 3-bedroom house in southeast of England. So if you'd like to pay me $4,000 a month more than you're paying me right now, I'll move to San Francisco. And he went, no, it's okay. You stay where you are. It's working out.
Yeah, it is. There's a lot of opportunity in San Francisco, but it is very, very, very expensive. And not just in San Francisco. My buddy's about to move out of his current living situation, and he just needs a studio where he can have a dog. So he needs a tiny little backyard. That's a $2,000 proposition.
Right.
And not in, it's in the Bay, but, nothing crazy.
And you go somewhere like Chiang Mai in Thailand, and your entire living expenses, including absolutely everything, are $400 a month.
Yeah.
For less than $1,000 a month, you can have a mansion with actual workers that live there for you, so that they can cook and clean and look after you. Like the entire thing. I mean, that all sounds very British colonial, and of course, I'm not proud of our history as a country. But you can literally go and live that kind of British colonial life in Chiang Mai.
Yeah.
The internet there is amazing and fast, and everything there is beautiful. The food is incredible. I've had friends that have done that whole affiliate website business, and they've been making $5,000 to $10,000 a month on just selling things on the internet, but living $400 a month and just putting all the money into a bank account every month because that's their retirement fund. 2 years of doing that, and you're set.
Yeah, that's the other big thing too. Is there is a worldwide opportunity thing. Like you can. And I'm whitewashing a lot of stuff here, but you can literally learn how to, say, code or how to sell things on Amazon. And wherever you are, as long as you've got a steady internet connection, which becomes more and more ubiquitous all the time, you can make a legitimate living wherever you're at or choose to live somewhere else.
Yeah, and that's what I do. So, on average, I move from city to city once every 5 days. I don't spend a lot of time anywhere. And I choose where I'm going either because somebody wants me to stand on stage and open my mouth and speak words.
Nice.
Or I go where my friends are because they're the most important people in my life. And so, for me, that's the simple, how do I choose where to go?
Right.
And then after choosing where to go, if I'm not standing on a stage, all I need is an internet connection. I can do my job because, my job in terms of, what I get paid for is producing content.
Yeah.
I write for VentureBeat for free, actually, because I just want to keep my profile high, and I love writing for them. I actually write more articles for them now than when I was a staff writer and running their research arm. So now what I do is, because I've taken more of a freelance role, I'm an analyst at large rather than director of marketing technology.
Free and freelance, yes.
I literally wake up in the morning, meditate, get breakfast, and then in half an hour write a 750-word article. And then I've got the rest of the day to myself.
Say what now? Half an hour you write 750 words?
Yeah.
And it's publishable. You just have built the muscle up that good that you... Wow.
That's it. It's all just practice.
Yeah.
It's at the point where it's unconscious competence. It's like walking or breathing,
Yeah. So you've reached a tacit ability to just crank those things out. That's fantastic. So you write that, and then you travel city to city, and then you get paid to speak here and there, that kind of thing, and you live simply. You don't have a huge home that costed $5,000 a month or whatever, and that's what
it.
You do.
Yeah, I got no rent to pay for, no mortgage. I stay with my friends. My friends are very gracious to me, and they give me their couches and guest rooms, and sometimes their entire houses. And partly that's like a barter economy, if you want to think of it in those terms. I mean, obviously we don't think of it in those terms because we're just friends.
Right.
I try and do as much for my friends as I possibly can, and in return they look after me. And it's just it's a nice way to live.
Yeah, it is a nice way. But what do you give them then? Is it like just your charm and everything?
Like I put a lot of time and effort into helping my friends out. I make lots of connections for everyone. Like the job that I enjoy doing the most is the one I get paid nothing for, which is putting good people together and then sitting back and watching the ripple effects happen.
Yeah, I love doing that too. You and I are both connectors, and it's just my honor to be able to go, you guys ought to know each other. Maybe you do something together, maybe you don't, but here's this person, they're wonderful. Here's this person, they're wonderful.
Yeah.
And I love writing those emails. I love it. I'm smiling right now for genuine because it's just such a fantastic thing to give someone else.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we don't have enough quality human contact, especially if you're stuck with a bunch of people that suck, and you're just like, you don't know that there's actually someone else out there that's into what you're into. And money aside, like, you guys just should be friends,
Right.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Okay, so you see a lot of the future of what's coming.
Yes.
15 years ago, smartphones, I mean, in my hand right now is a computer that is more powerful than the computer I bought 20 years ago. That was...
absolutely. Easily.
It was like, I remember I went to 20 years ago, at 22, I went to Bosnia, and I put on layaway, because I was going to be gone, a computer, right? And, stuff moves so fast, but by the time I got there, I had paid it off, but it wasn't even a Pentium. Now that Pentiums are out, and I'm like, I don't want that old thing. They're like, we've been saving it for you. And I'm like, that computer is junk now, and it wouldn't be $300. So they gave me a different computer, and it was a Pentium,
Yeah.
And that's 20 years ago. Look where we are now. I mean, it's incredible. Streaming. That was barely a thing 15 years ago. Barely. So blow our minds. What's coming? I mean, I'm popping the bubble. We see incredible things, but what do you see?
Yeah. There's a lot of things that are happening right now that are really starting to make a difference, but we're not going to see the difference for a little while. That being said, cutting edge, bleeding edge people will see differences straight away. So, virtual reality, for example, is, as far as I'm concerned, basically dead at a consumer level already.
Wow.
It's like the new 3D TV.
Yeah.
And I've actually done the analysis on this. I've got the numbers. You wouldn't believe how bad the monthly active users is for the average VR app on the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. Almost nobody's using this stuff. It's because the pain of setting up your VR headset is greater than the pleasure you get from the experience.
Right.
However, augmented reality is coming, and that is going to change everything. Augmented reality, I predict, will be the new operating system for human beings. So we'll be able to ditch the smartphones because you'll be able to wear some glasses that basically operate and do everything that your smartphone did, but do it in a real-world context. So, we'll be looking down this street, and little flags will pop out the side of the hotels with the review scores and everything else to let you know whether you can stay there or not. And you'll be able to just reach out with your finger and click, 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 and you'll have booked a room there, and you can walk straight in. And if you don't like the decor, in the distant future, you'll actually be able to redress every space by saying, actually, I'd like it with my favorite theme. You'll be able to buy a full-body avatar so that when you're walking down the street, anyone that isn't your friend will see what you're wearing, but anyone that is your friend will see your avatar. So, all of these things are coming with augmented reality. And blockchain technology is definitely going to change pretty much every industry. It's already affecting so many. I know a lot of people think that blockchain is all scams and just people trying to get fast money. And sure, there are bad actors. I mean,
that exists in the regular money world.
When people say to me, why do you have cryptocurrency? Isn't it volatile? I'm like, have you not seen a South American currency, really?
Yeah.
Realistically? I mean, I'd take cryptocurrency over anything that's in South America or, the crazy 1,000,000% interest rates in places like Zimbabwe. It's So, cryptocurrencies is one thing, but the underlying technology that cryptocurrencies is built on is blockchain technology, and that does change everything. But it's not a normal marketplace. It's not a normal marketplace because in a normal marketplace, you can have maybe 100 solutions that all do the same thing coexisting with each other, and they can all make enough of a living to keep on coexisting. In blockchain, we don't really need that. There are currently 12 solutions that are trying to solve mobile ad fraud using blockchain technology. Once we, the public, decide which one of those transparent distributed ledger technologies does the job.
Yeah.
We don't need the other 11 anymore.
Right.
So, it's not a normal marketplace. So it's really weird, actually, that the strangest part of this whole blockchain world is that we talk about decentralization and taking control away from all these big centralized banks and organizations and governments.
Yeah.
And creating this decentralized world. But we're creating a fairly non-competitive decentralized world where we're actually going to have little oligopolies in every category because we only really need one solution for every category or problem. And that's kind of weird that we're creating oligopolies in a decentralized world.
Right.
But it is very interesting and something that everybody should be educating themselves on because blockchain is going to change everything.
Yeah, I definitely think it. And for those that think it's not, the bomb already went off. It's just we don't know what's out there. Like, it's just a mess.
Yeah.
Because there are people for sure taking advantage of what's there and the lack of knowledge. But that, again, that's happens. That's always happened. There's always been snake oil.
Yeah, it's always bad actors everywhere.
Yeah, the thing that strikes me that I'm still trying to understand is just the ability of blockchain and crypto-based things to help us better understand value, right? And I use like a divorce as an example. The divorce is a shitty way to determine value. Like, I raised the kids. Well, big fucking deal. I made $5 million. Like, well, that's not an equitable share of work. So now, now you can say like you can be compensated for your knowledge, your location, your consumption, and you can just keep going on. All of these things that actually have value will start to be exchangeable. Like if there was a cryptocurrency for the place we're in right now, us consuming their product, us doing it here, or maybe buying, you could maybe buy a coupon for this place from somewhere else, but it's more valuable when you bring it in here as opposed to somewhere else. Anyhow, the idea is that there's a lot more ways to perceive and compensate value while you're also decentralizing things. So the bank that takes every little piece out of a dollar that they can, oh, you used an ATM, oh, you used your credit card, oh, we're going to keep your money overnight, not let you have access to it. Like all these things, that primarily goes away. I mean, there's still going to be little bits of that because you have to make money, but it's incredible when you think about that. And that's just the financial side. Like all of the other things that you can do, the ability to have a smart contract where as I purchase this bread and, we use the Ralph's dollar to do that, that Ralph's dollar automatically auto-populates things and people are freed up to do other things. What the heck are we going to do in the future?
Yeah, it's super interesting. The whole space is crazy. One of my favorite things, though, about when we create these economies automatically through blockchain technology, so we automatically create an economy because really these start out as project funding most of the time.
Okay.
And so we're asking people to invest by buying a percentage of or a whole coin. Mm-hmm. Some of the money goes into the economy, some of the money goes into funding the project and making it real. In these economies, you get this idea of being able to have an attention economy. And, the easiest way to explain that is Facebook is a free product. Because Facebook is a free product, you're the product. Mm-hmm. They sell your data all the time. And they make a lot of money out of you. So wouldn't it be nice if actually you retained full control of all of your data, all your data points, not just your email, but your fitness data because you're wearing a Fitbit. And, that data would be really interesting to somebody like Nike.
Yeah.
If you average 15,000 steps a day, they probably want to talk to you, right? And that would be a different profile of customer to somebody that does 5,000 steps a day.
Right.
That data is available. There are products like Salesforce Customer Journey Manager that allow you to use Fitbit data to change offers and target different people based on that info if they've made it publicly available. But what if instead of setting privacy options on your data to stop people getting access to certain bits, instead you said to Nike, hey, I'm a Nike fan.
Right.
I like you.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you the data you need to send me the most relevant, personalized experience because your vanilla experience just isn't cutting it for me. And in return, you're going to pay me directly.
Yeah.
So now instead of like $10,000 worth of AdWords every month, where we throw it against the wall and hope some of it sticks,
yes,
we can actually spend 10,000 coins to get 10,000 people who are already interested in our brand because they reached out and said, I'd like to work with you.
Yeah.
And that changes the entire dynamic.
Boy.
What's super interesting about that is we know from all of our analysis of mobile advertising that the vast majority of user acquisition is still organic. And it's when you buy really high-quality users, the ones that already say, hey, I'm a fan, they go and they tell 10 of their friends about your thing.
Right.
So Nike's job in augmented reality would be to serve you with an amazing AR experience that just like engages you and makes you feel great about the brand. You're going to show your friends that. You're going to take your glasses off and give them to your friend and say, hey, try this out.
Yeah.
And then they're going to go, oh my God, I love Nike. And all of a sudden, Nike have got another fan who they can now say, hey, have my data, Nike, and Nike can pay them directly too.
Right.
It's building high-value people that become part of your entire community and then support each other. And, you know, communities, when they're working really well, when something negative happens in the world, they'll just look after it for you. They'll go tell the world, actually, no, this is not a bad thing because look at all this good stuff they did.
Right.
Yeah, and, you know, so many benefits to building communities this way at very high value rather than the way we have been, which is just like get as many users as possible, as cheaply as possible. Because actually what happens is you get very disengaged people. They don't recommend you to their friends. At worst, you just basically have brought a whole load of trolls into your app or your service.
Right.
And the entire environment becomes quite caustic because of that. So we get to build these attention economies and these spaces using blockchain technology, and it's actually really exciting.
There's also, so we had, and the show hasn't posted when we're talking, but it'll post before your episode because we had Stan Larimer on, and he's big into BitShares, where he's the godfather of BitShares, and he talks about humanless companies, and I'm positive I'm not doing it as good a job of explaining as he does, but basically, you can set up a company where the blockchain element, the proof of concept, proof of stake, all those things are all working to generate this company that creates a product. It's completely AI or automated, I guess is the better way to say it. And yeah, they're going to generate revenue. There's going to be an exchange of things, but it's mind-blowing when I'm not explaining this very well, but it's mind-blowing when you think that there's going to be entire corporations that are built up that have no human in them. And this is not like Terminator. It's just they take mundane things and they do it for you and they produce this product. I can't even understand it.
Well, look, you know, here's something that I'd like to keynote about a lot. And it's just this entire, you know, here are the questions everyone asks about AI, and here's the reason why these are the wrong questions.
Oh, okay. Nice.
So the question everyone asks about AI is the one that you just alluded to, which is AI going to replace my job or not?
Right.
First of all, let's talk about digital natives. The question for them is not, is AI going to take my job or not? The question is, how quickly is AI going to take my job so I can go to Bali?
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Actually, there's a whole breed of people who just want AI to take their jobs because then they can go and do more important things in life, like have experiences and adventures.
Yes.
And I assign to that point of view. You know, I've set my entire life up to be very unconventional, and the way that I've done that, it forces every day to be an adventure and every day to be a new experience.
Yeah.
So, because you don't get to take any of your material stuff to the grave with you, so you may as well have fun, right?
Right, absolutely.
Life's short.
Yeah.
So AI, you know, they want it to take their jobs. The question of whether AI is taking your job or not has got really very little to do with AI. You know, the misconception of AI is you've got this sentient computer that is deciding to kill all humans.
Right.
And that's just not a thing.
Okay.
AI works because we use machine learning to train an algorithm. Okay. That algorithm can be thought of as a pattern in the data. If we just keep to machine learning, we can apply that pattern to future data to predict what might happen next.
Sure.
If we give that pattern a goal and say, now alter yourself until you are the best version of the pattern to reach that goal, that's AI.
Yeah.
And so we use it to replace mundane tasks. You know, we use it to answer those same 100 questions that customers ask every single day. Now, if you're an autocratic manager who looks at your profit and loss and always sees that huge salaries and wages number and thinks, I need to cut costs, I'll take the biggest number and cut there.
Yeah.
You're going to be the kind of person that buys AI to replace people's jobs. If you're not, and if you're the kind of manager that wants to give people more interesting jobs to do, like if we answer the 100 questions automatically, when a question comes to you, at least it'll be an interesting one.
Right. Yeah.
And we'll get through more volume of calls with the same amount of people. We won't need to cut. In fact, we could probably hire more and beat all our competitors by answering more calls than anybody else and having the best customer service in the world. Then you're going to buy AI to do that. So the question isn't about AI. The question is, as with everything in life, follow the money. And if the money belongs to a person that likes to cut jobs, that's what's going to happen. If the money belongs to a person that likes to augment jobs, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
So if you want to keep your job in an AI world, work for nice people.
Work for nice people. Yeah. Well, there's a thing, too, like when you describe the AI thing, it made me think of insurance, auto insurance specifically. You don't really need a lot of people in that system. It really can be largely automated. I mean, you already can upload your claim. You can do all these very simple things, and then you don't even have to have an adjuster. That can be done through the blockchain. So being able to run an entire insurance organization, and also you could fractionally buy into the insurance organization. Like State Farm is great, but it really could be 10,000 of us all saying, "Yeah, I'll bet on this actuarial table that's run by robots, and we'll all buy State Farm coins." And then there would just be a whole lot less people in that organization. Yes, you're going to have some people like, that's weird. Let's kick it to the guy that handles weird stuff. And you're like, hi, I'm Pete. I handle weird things. How can I help you?
Right.
But most of it, 98% of it, is going to be the same thing that happens every day. I'll take your money. I'll give you this. I'll cut you a check. Let me see your picture of your accident.
Right.
Are there 3 other people around with their glasses to take a picture? Yep, it's confirmed with 3 other. Okay, right. Legit. Here comes the check. It's already in your pocket.
And there's already technology coming out of Israel where you take a picture of the car and it posts it to the insurance site. Then if there's an accident, you take a picture of the car, and it works out exactly what the damage is. And it does that in order to protect you as well as, work out whether it's a write-off or, what the potential costs might be. It protects you because when your car goes to get repaired, they can actually keep on doing scans afterwards to see if the people who are repairing the car actually repaired more than they needed to repair to make more money for themselves.
Yeah.
So they're actually cutting auto fraud as well through people doing things they don't need to do.
There's also an element to the blockchain where there's a reputation score.
Yep.
And every time you do that, you're compromising your value. So you can do that so many times, and like if you run some kind of nefarious thing, your reputation score goes down, and it does connect, and it deeply impacts our forced honor. Because if we don't have to be honorable, there's a lot of people that won't be. It's incredible this time to be around. It's so interesting too. Do you think government will get better as it starts to get used to? Because there's a lot of people that want to look. There's power being moved around,
right?
And a lot of times it's being forced. And whether it's the elite rich 1% or big oil.
This episode of the Break It Down Show is brought to you by Lions Rock Productions.
That's us.
We publish, evaluate, and develop podcasts just like this one, consult others to build their own, and create associated content and content marketing strategies.
So if you're launching or expanding your social media presence, your business or your personal brand, or if you just want to take your media presence to the next level,
reach out to us on Twitter
at Pete A. Turner
or at JohnLG69
at the Break It Down Show.
There's 1,000 ways to get a hold of us.
Now enjoy the show.
Or Big Apple, or all these different things. There is a change in how we're doing value and power. Are governments going to get that, or do you think is it going to be a combination, which is probably what it is, or is it going to be something that they embrace and get in front of and become more efficient?
I mean, governments really need to understand AI. They don't right now. They need to understand it from a societal standpoint because, artificial intelligence is already replacing hundreds of thousands of jobs. And in certain parts of the world, millions of jobs. What most journalists don't write is how many jobs it's creating.
Sure.
It's potentially creating more jobs than it's removing right now. The problem is the jobs it's removing are the menial jobs that belong to lower educated people. And the jobs it's creating are in things like data science and very high education disciplines. Mm-hmm. So potentially artificial intelligence has the ability to split the haves and have-nots further apart from each other than they ever have been. And so we're getting into these conversations about, if we're taking away an unskilled worker's job, should we be paying them a universal wage
so that
they can live? that's a fine concept in many places around the world, but I struggle to think how United States of America would deal with universal basic income when the United States of America can't even give an extra $1 every month in taxes to provide everyone with universal health care. So it's a difficult thing for certain countries to actually reconcile based on their politics. So government needs to understand AI. Ultimately, you could actually have a government run entirely by AI. That would be interesting. I think it would be quite fun to have a government that's run by, artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
As opposed to what we have in some countries right now, which is governments that are run by people whose intelligence is clearly artificial in the first place.
Yeah. Or their moral character is constantly in question, and that can be any country you want to fill the blank in with.
Yeah, government is an interesting thing because when you become a servant of the people, you go into it with all the best intentions in the world. You want to look after your constituents. You want to bring up the issues that are important to them. You realize that you're in that job because they voted you in and you're basically being paid by their taxes. All of that is for most servants of the people, exactly how they deal with that situation. But then you get people who, want to be in the front bench. They want to be in front of the press. They want to be the ones making a name for themselves. The unfortunate thing about those people is they tend to be narcissists. And, narcissism isn't a great trait when you're trying to serve your constituents.
Yeah.
You generally tend to end up with people who are in it for themselves rather than in it for the people. The worst of the narcissists is the grandiose narcissist. I believe that Breaking Bad should be absolute viewing for everybody so that they can identify what a grandiose narcissist looks like in Walter White. The problem with those people is that, if they can't have it, nobody can. So they revel in mutual destruction, which is never a good place to be. You don't want to give, the ability to fire weapons to a person who believes in mutual destruction.
Yeah, it's boy, that brings up a big topic that I'm going to try to steer clear of this time because
we don't have time for that.
Yeah, no, but you're right.
We could end it on the artificial intelligence joke if you like.
But I do want to bring up another aspect of that because you're right. So a real smart guy on Popping the Bubble, he said basically as long as the pace of innovation is faster than the pace of automation, there's always going to be work to do. That's the first thing, so we can all calm down about that. But things like, and I'm talking to my buddy Cease right now, automated big rig drivers, even if it's short haul for right now, big rig drivers are going to not all be humans anymore real soon.
Right.
And that's going to happen, and you can say, well, it's not right now, and there's no way, but reality is there is a way, and there's someone that makes a lot of money when they figure that out.
That's true, but let me propose an alternate future for that particular problem.
All right, let's hear it.
It's fine automating what we've already got. It's fine optimizing what we've already got. What we need are people that are different thinkers that come up with alternate solutions that make a lot more sense. So, for example, which would you prefer? Would you prefer a product to be built in China, to be put on pallets, to have a van take those pallets to a hub, to have a hub put those into a sea container, to then have a large container ship go halfway across the world, to then go to another hub, to then put those boxes on planes,
right,
which take them to other hubs, which then there are more trucks, and then eventually small vans, and then eventually it gets to you.
Yeah. Or
how about we just actually start making stuff at source and providing people with a way to create everything that they need where they are? Instead of basically killing the planet with optimized existing logistics solutions that really we shouldn't have in the first place.
If you just deal in LA in that chain, right? So the ship comes to the port of Long Beach or LA, massive ports. If you want to find semis with shipping containers on them, you go right down there and you've got traffic forever.
Yep.
Half the traffic, constant, nonstop. And then all of the industrial space. That's real good land. It's right by the beach. But you got to have like these container farms and you have to have somewhere to park trucks and you got to park trailers. All of that stuff starts to go away when you source locally.
Yeah.
And it definitely changes the game in terms of that.
Yeah, and there's a lot of really interesting work going on in that space. there are some just outstanding organizations using that idea to, instead of feed consumerism and just continue this whole thing of adding even more material products to our lives.
Well, that's a good point. Yeah.
I have a friend, Ashley Dara. She is doing incredible things where she's actually got an organization that is teaching people how to use 3D printers in underground hospitals in Syria to 3D print the things that keep the machines going.
Right.
Because, she actually had a breakthrough the other day. She managed to get a T-shirt with her company name to the guy that's doing the training.
Wow.
So that he can feel like he's part of the team.
Yeah.
It took approximately 2 months just to get him that T-shirt because it's so hard to get anything into Syria. Whereas with a 3D printer, the little piece of plastic that keeps the oxygen flowing, or the little piece of plastic that helps you put the needle in somebody's arm to keep them alive, you can 3D print that right there and then.
Yeah. I'm always struck by the distance, Rome to Raqqa. If you put the same level of pain and misery and just crushing hopelessness that's in Raqqa and all of Syria and put it in proximity here in the U.S., it'd be like Kansas to Knoxville. Yeah. And we wouldn't stand for it. It's crazy. And we're definitely going to get better at this because you're right, 3D printing. There's so many different things that are out there that are coming that are going to change how we attack problems and create opportunities. It's an incredible time with what we're about to unlock. And what is unlocked already and changing already. What's your one big bold prediction 15 years from now?
15 years from now? Yeah. My big bold prediction is that people will stop making 15-year far-out big bold predictions.
I like it.
I'm actually kind of sick and tired of all these futurists who say ridiculous things on stage about where we're going in the future, because there's no way you can predict what's going to happen in 15 years' time. I can say with surety what's going to happen by the end of this year and probably to the end of next year in certain areas that I've been analyzing for years and years and years. Whether I can predict anything further on than, like 18 months out is debatable. And there's a nice analogy for that in the supercomputers that we've always been using to predict the weather.
Yeah.
Like, do you remember, I don't know if you remember the days of the crave supercomputer, multi-million-dollar computer.
Yeah.
You can go see one, actually. There's, if you want. You can go to Mountain View to the Museum of Computers, and you can see a crate. Those things were amazing. They got us to the point where we could actually forecast the weather accurately almost 3 days ahead.
Yeah.
We have computers now that are way, way, way more powerful than the Cray. And guess what? We can still only predict the weather fairly accurately 3 days ahead.
Yeah, the folks at Spire, they put microsatellites up in low Earth orbit, and they're looking at the weather in a completely different way. It's more like a CAT scan now, but like a spherical CAT scan, where you just have all these data points, and they're starting to see the whole thing as one system instead of just this snapshot of here, and it's changing how weather's being done. Space. I know the Space Force thing is hokey, but it's really not, because there really is, it's commercializing. There's going to be a lot of people. There's a whole legal industry in space. All of that stuff is coming. So yeah, Space Force seems silly now, but the reality is this is not a Trump statement, but there's going to be a lot of power in space, and someone's going to have to deal with it. So you can laugh at Space Force now, but the reality is there's brokers for space, there's lawyers for space, there's international law that's being written every day. It's incredible. It's incredible. Well, look, you and I both have things to do, and it's getting late on this thing. So, man, will you come back sometime?
Yeah, I'm always back in LA. I'll actually be back here in October for a longer stay, because I need to be able to see more of my friends.
Yeah.
Trying to squeeze 100 people into 3 days is not easy.
I've been there with that. Yeah, there's no way. All right, cool.